like the type of person that tries to change the world through your work. Tell me which piece of design could actually change the world in the near future?
Well, yes, I think there's many things. I mean, the right kind of automobile would have a huge effect on design. I mean, even if you think about something like the Google car where it's self-driven, that's a big change. I think very small products can change the world. So a mobile phone has changed the world a lot. The way we interface it, that's design. So I think there's many examples of that around.
Going into smartphones, just for a little bit.
Yeah.
How do you appreciate the evolution in the design of smartphones? Do you actually fall for the marketing like everything is changing every year? Do you actually see the change?
Yeah, I think the change is what's happening every year is better technology and better materials. So yes, that's the reality. But I think that design itself is having less and less to do with the physical, meaning that soon we'll just have a little flexible screen or it'll be on our skin. So we won't need a physical object anymore. So designers are having less and less to do with it. The people who should be much more proactive in it and doing great things, which I'm questionable about, is the user experience designers, right? The interface, because for me the interface is very 2D, very flat, and it's a virtual 3D space. So I think there's a lot of improvement can be done there.
How can we simplify design overall? Simple is better all the time, but how can we actually simplify in our lives? We often get too complicated about it. Is there a simple rule to that?
Yeah, I think there's. I call it addition by subtraction. Basically, first of all, anything that you have in your domestic environment or your office that is not really playing a better role or bringing you more should not be there. So you edit.
Do you actually know how many objects do you have?
Do you have more with less? Yeah, well, at home, how many objects I have? Yeah, I have 280 objects at home. That's including bed, everything. And yes, because 15 years ago, I started something called addition by subtraction, where anything I bring into the home, I have to take something out. So I stay at equilibrium. So I've stayed at equilibrium for 15 years now.
So is it hard to bring in something new like a smartwatch?
It is hard. Well, I get rid of a watch. I mean, you just, one comes in, one goes out.
Classic watch? You got a classic watch out?
I would never I haven't worn a classical watch in 20 years. I would not wear one.
Electronic.
Yeah, I took a watch that I actually had designed. I took out to wear this watch. But this idea of addition by subtraction, you can even bring it down to your clothes. You buy a new pair of jeans, you then get rid of the other pair of jeans. Basically, you don't accumulate, because I think the problem is there's too much commodity in the world, and it's easy to accumulate, and things are so accessible and cheap now that we end up consuming for the sake of consumption less for the sake of necessity.
And we get less value for that.
Yeah, less value, and we look at things in a way, and we don't really necessarily respect a lot of things. There was a time, I think, when someone bought a car, for example, and they washed it and polished it, took care of it for 15 years, and now everything has become quite disposable. So you change your car every 3 years or 4 years. You don't even own it, you lease it. We end up leasing a lot of our lives. We don't physically own a lot of things anymore. So with that said, I mean, it's a huge discussion, because on one hand you have this notion that in order to keep this world going, we have to keep producing commodity and selling it, because we're a big capitalist society. On the other hand, can we keep this world economically moving along, but just reduce the amount of production we do? And I think it's more than possible.
Do you think of a car like a commodity or like a service in the near future? I'm thinking Uber.
That's a very good question.
Uber meeting Google Car.
I would say service for sure. I think most things are going to go to service, because the digital age, what they've taught us is that we can have all these experiences with nothing.
Let's go into clothing for a little bit.
Sure.
We appreciate your style. What about the pink? I'm a fan of pink, but usually men in Romania are not into pink.
Men all over the world are not into pink.
What do you think is that?
I don't know. I guess I'm the pioneer in it. I don't know. It's
admire your shoes
funny,
for one.
The pink Mini that they brought me, the guy who's driving it, Mackay, he said to me, when he stops at an intersection, people look at him funny because they expect to see a girl driving the car, and it's a man, right? And I thought about that, and I thought, isn't that ridiculous? It's just a color. It's just color. So why do we have this huge prejudice about certain colors? Why? It's just color. Yes, whatever you want to do.
But come again, why pink?
You have pink skin. Prejudice against that, come on. I mean, the whole thing is absurd. Pink is a beautiful color. From an emotional point of view, it's uplifting, it's positive, it's engaging, it's high energy. There's a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of different pinks, but it's very. And I think also that it's just something that I was as a child really attracted to. So I just all my life wore it and liked it and appreciated it. But I don't think we should make judgments about these things. I mean, I think people, first of all, should do whatever they want to do and be free about it. And that's something, maybe what I'm doing, I'm trying to be a bit of a provocateur for men, because I find men in general, in most of the world, very conservative and afraid of a lot of things. So I'm trying to bring out let's say, the femininity of men or something like that. Listen, the whole world, you know how many people thought I was gay, for example, just because I wear pink? I mean, how ridiculous is that? Think about it, right?
Okay.
Your sexuality is based on a color? Come on.
Yeah, but at birth, girls are being dressed in pink and boys in blue.
Do you know that was a marketing tool? Did you know that?
Yeah.
Do you know this for sure? 1930s in America, Benjamin Moore Paint decided to do that as a marketing tool to sell paint. Before 1930s, every child born had the same blanket on them when they were born. So it's strictly marketing. It's all it is. It was made up.
Like the diamond ring and Santa Claus?
Exactly. Santa Claus is a prime example, right? He's from Coca-Cola, you know that. Coca-Cola made Santa Claus. St. Nicholas didn't wear red and white. Coca-Cola made it red and white. So.
Exactly. Bucharest is mainly gray. Have you seen any colors since you've been here?
Not a lot. It's quite gray.
Can we change that easily?
You know, I think Bucharest needs some very radical architecture. Some very radical buildings. It's time.
Like Hundertwasser or...
The interesting thing about architecture, it's unique, which means when it's unique, it's like landmark.
Okay.
You know, design is different, because if I design a mobile phone, 15 million people are using the same object. But for me to see, I don't know, Frank Gehry's Bilbao Guggenheim, I have to go to Bilbao, Spain to see it. For me to see the Eiffel Tower, I have to literally go to Paris. So for people to come to Bucharest, they should see some original landmarks also. And there are some old ones here, but need some new ones.
Okay, like the Palace of Parliament.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you actually like it, or?
No, it's a huge piece of kitsch. Huge.
It's good to be known by something.
It must be a real costly drain on. Yeah.
And it houses mainly politicians, which we all hate.
But don't hate politicians. They can be on your side. It depends.
Yeah.
Listen. Imagine another. So what would be a great? You know, there needs to be some monuments here that are now new. When was that built? The Parliament.
We don't have so many.
When was it built? The Parliament.
The Parliament in the 80s.
Yeah. That's why it's kitsch, because you know kitsch is a cheap replica of the past. So it's an imitation of the past. It's not original.
Okay. Last question on style. Okay. We dress the same through the last 200 years. What kind of materials and textures would you embrace for the future?
I think high-tech materials. For example, the T-shirt I wear is Japanese, and it warms up and cools down. So I do that when I travel, because I do a lot of different temperatures in the hotel room and all this. You know, so it's great for traveling. I think a lot of our clothes have become super, super high-tech, super casual. I think the running shoe industry is doing phenomenal things.
And you've been doing some.
Do you know the running shoe industry? It's 50% of the world's shoe industry. Amazing. It was 0.5% of the shoe industry 50 years ago. So that's our new casual age. Stretch, elasticized clothes that have elastic to be soft, all these things. I think we're becoming much more high performance, and all the idea of suits and ties and all this bullshit, it's time it all goes. It's all fake, it's all uniform. And the thing is that we made judgment based on people the way they dress. So, you know, you come, I'm going to get a loan from a bank, so I have to wear a suit. I think those days are over. I think this new transparency of the individual, empowerment of the individual, is because of the digital age.
And you're riding that. You're right on top.
I'm riding it, yes.
So do you acknowledge being the best industrial designer in the world, like people are saying?
Who's the best industrial designer in the world?
You.
I am. Well, Wallpaper today released the top 200 designers in the world. I'm not even on the list, so they can go fuck themselves.
Great one.
Okay.